one of the things that continues to amuse me and befuddle me, if I'm being honest, is how blatantly obvious the history hoax is, and yet I seem to be the only person talking about it. So let's talk about it today, shall we? Here on your screen, you've got the Emperor's New Clothes, and you were probably taught this story back when you were a child. The Emperor wants to buy some new fancy clothes, so he has some special clothes maker, some special tailor or something, who says, "Don't worry, bro, I'll take care of that. I'll make the best clothes you've ever seen in your life, bro." So anyway, he pays them the money and they make him these invisible clothes that don't exist. But everybody is so sure that this guy's in charge that they just believe that he has the clothes. Or they're sure that everybody couldn't all be wrong, so if everybody else says they see the clothes, then the clothes must be real. Or maybe I'm the only one who doesn't see the clothes, so I better keep my mouth shut. Or whatever the case might be. You get the basic gist of the Emperor's New Clothes. Let's take a look at a character from history called Pontius Pilate. And this comes to us from Encyclopedia Britannica. Sorry, that's a train out near my house. This comes to us from Britannica.com. It's entitled Pontius Pilate, and it says here, Pontius Pilate, Latin in full, Marcus Pontius Pilatus, Roman prefect of Judea, under the emperor of Tiberius, who presided at the trial of Jesus and gave the order for his crucifixion. According to the traditional account of his life, Pilate was a Roman equestrian of the Samnite clan of the Ponti, hence his name Pontius. He was appointed prefect of Judea through the intervention of Sejanus, blah blah blah, bling 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 blah. Now the important thing here is that this Pontius Pilate character was apparently the one who presided at the trial of Jesus and gave the order for his crucifixion. And of course many people believe this story to be real. What's interesting is that Britannica themselves admit that judgments of the man himself must be made inferentially, almost entirely on the basis of later Jewish and Christian writings, chiefly those of Josephus and the Bible. Oh, that's very interesting. But look, I'm not here to denounce scripture or biblical studies or anything like that. What I do want to do is take a look at the Pilates stone. This comes to us from Wikipedia. The Pilates stone is a damaged block of carved limestone with a partially intact inscription attributed to and mentioning Pontius Pilate, a prefect of the Roman province of Judea from AD 26 to 36. It was discovered at the archaeological site of Caesarea Maritima in 1961. The artifact is particularly significant because it is an archaeological find of an authentic 1st century Roman inscription mentioning the name Pontius Pilatus. It is contemporary to Pilates' lifetime and accords with what is known of his reported career. In effect, the writing constitutes the earliest surviving record and a contemporaneous evidence for the historical existence of this person, otherwise known from the New Testament, Jewish literature, and brief mentions in retrospective Roman histories, which have survived in still later copies. So you get the importance of this Pilates stone. It is the only existing artifact from Pontius Pilate from his time. You might have heard of the film The Last Temptation of Christ. Well, Pontius Pilatus was played by David Bowie, would you believe, in that film. Little piece of trivia for you. Now you might say, hold on, they're not going to base a key character from the Bible, which we all know is thousands of years old, on evidence from a rock that was discovered in 1961. That can't be the case. No, it can't. Let's have a look at the independent.co.uk. Historical notes. Pontius Pilate, a name set in stone. Until 1961, there was no concrete archaeological evidence that Pontius Pilate, the fifth governor of Judea, ever existed. There were accounts of him, of course, not least the accounts in the Gospels, but the records of his administration had disappeared completely. No papyri, no rolls, no tablets, no authentic letters to Rome. The Roman ruins that remained in Israel seemed to have nothing to do with him. Even his aqueduct, a project that got him into plenty of trouble at the time, appeared to have crumbled away. In the summer of 1961, however, Italian archaeologists found a piece of limestone, 82 centimeters wide by 68 centimeters high, in the ruins of a sports stadium in Caesarea, beside the sea. The stadium had not been there in Pilates' time. He had yelled at his gladiators in another place, but the stone bore his name and much else besides. Because it is the only artifact we have, the only proof of him, and also the only object we can be sure he looked at and thought about, even the tiniest aspects of it have a huge importance. Until there are more discoveries, this is as close as we are going to get. Again, that comes to us from the independent.co.uk, an article from about 20 years ago. Now, if you have half a brain in that noggin of yours, there'd be a few red flags that would have come up over the last few minutes of what I've been reading. And I talk in more detail about all of that in a recent piece on my website, Donnie Darko Sinks, Numbers and History. But unfortunately for many of you, that is available only to full members of the website. But never fear, there's another article which is just as useful, if not more so, and it goes through what I call primary source research methodology, and why I believe primary source research methodology is so important. And I first published this back in October of last year, but I made it available to the public. No subscription to the website necessary, no login to the website necessary, completely available publicly. I made it available in November of last year. So it's quite a dense article, but it's laid out in such a way that anybody who has maybe a slightly above average intelligence or above will be able to understand it, both in terms of comprehending what it's saying and understanding the significance. So what I'll do is I'll link to that in the info box below as well. So if you are somebody who is not a member of the website, I strongly recommend you check out this article just to get a gist of what I'm talking about when I talk about the significance of primary source research methodology, which is what leads me to conclude that things like this are not just silly, they're completely ridiculous. It's absolutely insane that we have people out there who believe that the Bible is 2,000 years old and are absolutely certain that this is the case, and they call themselves awake, and they call themselves learned, and they think they've taken the red pill, but they still believe complete and utter nonsense like this purely because they've never taken the time to check it. And I can't really blame them for never taking the time to check it, because even though we were taught this story about the emperor's new clothes in school, maybe for some of us, the moral of the story was lost. And the moral of the story is this: just because everybody else goes along with a story doesn't mean that you have to. And just because everybody believes that the emperor is wearing a new gown doesn't mean that you have to. And if people tease you or mock you for saying, hey man, there's no freaking gown on this clown king, what's going on here, man? This emperor and his bullshit history that's been getting invented in the 1960s, for Christ's sakes, I don't have to go along with this nonsense. What kind of a thinking, intelligent creature would believe such a silly story? That we know what happened 2,000 years ago because of a rock that was discovered in... I mean, this is a joke, guys. The history that we are given is an utter joke. It is a blatant joke. And I am the only person talking about it. I don't know how that's possible. I find it amusing, but I also find it befuddling, Clearly, there are people out there who want to present themselves as skeptics, or they want to present themselves as truth tellers, but really they're just clowns as well. If you are not talking about the history hoax, if you do not understand the history hoax, then you are a clown, my friend, and you should go and listen to the clowns who want to talk about history like it's real, despite the fact that the evidence reveals how ridiculous the whole thing is. I'll put those links in the info box below. Go and check them out at johnlebon.com. Like I said, links in the info box below. You click them, it takes you to the website. And you can just go to johnlebon.com yourself. Anyone can spell at johnlebon.com. So go and check that out and make up your own mind, guys. Do you want to keep believing that the Emperor is wearing clothes like the good little stooge you're supposed to be? Or do you want to think for yourself? On the 8th of May 2018, John LeBon signing off, and until next time, you guys, take care of yourselves.